Hi guys, welcome to this episode. Today I'm just going to do a little tutorial on this Canon 90D. So this is sort of a camera that's been around for a bit now, to tell you the truth, but it's a still very decent camera. It's got a standard 85mm kit lens and it is part of like the touchscreen family. So if I switch this on, you've got your normal standard controls, your manual, your aperture, your shutter, your bulb mode. To change, you have to hold this button down and pull it out like this. So you got your auto, you got your scene, you got your creative filters, and you got your control 1, 2, and 3, which allows you to put preset controls in. So if I switch it on, so it is switched on, and is it switched on? There we go. So it is touchscreen, this one. So if I'm in auto mode, that one there, it allows me to go to Q button, and then I can touch screen. So I can select high. So if I click on that button there, and it's a bit like using your phone, where you can sort of touch the icons in order to change the various settings. And if I go back to that Q button, or just select that, and then I can go back to, if I want to flash on, so click on it again, click on filter, hover through it and select filter, and I can change the filter to whatever I want it to be. So that's quite useful. If I want to film, so just basically put it into film mode, and then it will allow me, so if I take my cap off, there we go, and I am in a classroom at the moment, so if I sort of kind of, hover my mouse around, you can see that it sort of autofocuses. If I click on this little Q button, I can change file formats like this. Okay, so I'm at the moment in 4K, I can change it to 1080, 720, etc. by just clicking on these icons. And if I just click on that, it will select it, and I can go back to my Q button and change whatever I need to change on that. If I click on Q, it will just basically show me the settings, and if I want to take them off, I can click on that. If I click on info, I can have further info on this device. Okay, so I've clicked on menu, I've gone to my main menu, but if I click on Q button, it will take me back to that button in order for me to film whatever I need to film. Now I am filming auto mode, so if I put it in, let's try manual mode. Okay, so now when I click on Q button, I've got a lot more features. I've got like things like white balance, I've got picture style, I've got a light optimizer, and I've got a lot more. I've got a shutter speed as well, so I can increase and decrease my shutter speed in film mode. I've got, and again, if I click back on there, I click on my F, which is my aperture, I can change that as well. And this is obviously in film mode I'm doing this, so I can change those settings through the visual viewfinder in order to change those different settings. If I click back on Q button, I can have picture style, so different picture styles, portrait, like when you're taking a photograph, little different tints of image based on which icon you're basically pressing. So that's quite useful. So if I go back to picture mode, if I go back to picture mode, you notice I've got my old traditional screen. So if I click on Q button, I can still select it like this, okay? Or I can click on this little icon, go to my view, and then I can change it like so. So I click on my Q button. If I click on that, it takes me back to my old menu. And if I click on the Q button, I can click on these icons and change the aperture, shutter, ISO, etc. And if I click on the start button, it will take me to the digital viewfinder, and all I need to do is tap on these icons, and then I can change various things on this particular model. So those are very, very useful features. You've obviously got your traditional ISO up here as well. So if you click on that, you got your drive mode, your autofocus mode, you got your metering, spot metering, you've got your focal points, this focal point. So this is quite useful again. So now obviously my shutter speed is really high, so I'm just going to reduce that down so you can see the screen. There we go. So obviously, like, I'm changing the shutter speed. Now if you click on this icon here, it will give you your focus points. So you can change those. So those are quite useful. So you can click on that and you can select the focus points you would like to use. So this one's got zonal focus points. And when I sort of click, half click, you can see that it's focusing, and if I click there, it will focus there. If I click there, it will focus there. But that's just basically by me clicking on this button, selecting the type of focus settings I would like, and then doing the zonal focus points based on it as well. So that's quite useful. So if if I've got a subject there and I want that to be in focus and that not to be in focus, obviously I've selected that point there. So I really like that feature. I think it's very easy to get to. You can just click on that, and then you can sort of hover through it on the video viewfinder. Me personally, I don't tend to, on this particular camera, I don't tend to use this, because obviously if you're using a camera, you're probably a visual person anyway, and just the fact that you can click off that, click on this Q button, and then be able to change all your settings via this visual form, to me is a no-brainer. It just makes logical sense for you to use it this way. It's like using your smartphone, and you can see how your aperture, your shutter speed, and your ISO are working in correlation to each other in order to get what you want. This little icon allows you to zoom digitally zoom into your space. Okay, so standard SD card. So I've got a class 10 in this one here. And you want a good card, obviously, as you probably know. So if I stick that back in there we go, and you got your hot shoe, you've got your controls, you've got this little icon dial here, sort of kind of focuses in your digital viewfinder up here. You got your standard bin. These icons never change; they're always there. You got your digital. This has got a nice grip on it as well, which I quite like. Your little toggle button here has got a nice grip. You feel like that's going to be quite durable on this particular camera. And obviously you've got your tilt, which a lot of these cameras nowadays have. Tell you the truth, I just think the next probably innovation for me would be the whole thing as a screen. I don't think any cameras have yet sort of kind of like probably been confident enough to do that. Tell you the truth, but if this day and age, I think this kind of formula of sort of changing your settings is much more responsive to camera control as opposed to using this formula. I think that's a bit sort of 10 years ago now, to tell you the truth. And a lot of people will probably be more comfortable sort of clicking on this and then going through all the settings via this platform as opposed to the other way. Yeah, so it is a DSLR. It is probably one of the mid-range upper scale DSLRs, and I think if you're looking to get a DSLR, this is okay. I do like it. I don't think it's the top range. I think I'm sort of like toying between the mirrorless now, to tell you the truth, our range. But if you're still kind of like sort of hot stone in love with your DSLRs, then by all means get yourself one of these. They do retail in the sort of kind of like 500 plus UK market. I'm not sure about other parts of the world, but they are still quite expensive, and it is it's relatively a pretty new camera on the market still, in terms of years sort of it's been around, and it's got a nice grip, it's got a nice feel, it's not too heavy. It's okay. I like it. It's not, I keep this more as a backup. I sometimes sort of have cameras like this as backups just in case my main camera sort of doesn't work, and I still maintain a high level of quality of video work. And, because it films in 4K, you can't go wrong. It does do what it does on the tin, really. Shoots in RAW, as all these cameras do. It's got Wi-Fi capabilities, and all those other features that you might expect from a camera of this caliber to have, particularly if you're paying a certain amount of money in order to be using it maybe in a semi-pro way. What would I use this camera for? Maybe portraits, maybe. Not so much studio work. I don't think it's the right camera for studio work. If I'm doing sports photography, I would probably want a better lens than this. Is just a standard kit lens, really, to tell you the truth. So you would want to get yourself a decent lens, and it will do the job, and it will produce decent quality images at a semi-professional level, I would say, that you will, from the normal eye, will be like amazing. So yeah, Thanks for watching, guys. Any questions, please do post, and I'm happy to respond to anything you have. And remember, guys, I'm almost up to 10,000, and if you hit that 10,000, when I hit that 10,000, I do want to give unfortunately, a replenish, because they don't make them anymore new. A Canon 7D. All you have to answer is when was the Canon 7D launched, and to enter the competition. So inbox me via my Instagram, and it is on my page, and I will happily enter you into the competition. I'm almost up to 1,000, and I'm sure you want to get yourself a free camera. I would, so why don't you? Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.